Hello, I'm going to be talking about art therapy and substance abuse. I am Destiny Daniel, as you all already know. This is a little intro, some background information on my topic. Many people all around the country and the world suffer from addiction of from alcohol and drugs, and it's one of the hardest things to break out of. For heroin, like 90% of people don't recover. It's not that bad with all drugs, but don't do drugs. It is the most frequently occurring mental health issue in our country today. And people that continue to use drugs for long periods of time, um, it it alters their brain chemicals and their brain function so that they still feel effects even after they stopped using the drug. Um, it is a long process because this person will always be an addict. They will always be struggling with these urges. So it is best, well, it is needed that they have to change their mentality along with their habits if they want to be successful. And reasons why one would turn to substances is an unstable home life as a child, family issues like abandonment, abuse, their parents were addicts of the same drug or different drugs, um, or maybe the a person experienced a loss of a friend or a family member or multiple friends, multiple family members later on in life. I mean, you're never too old to go into depression, which is the next one, and then first taken or um, you know maybe like a teenager first taken recreationally, um, then led to actual addiction. So they weren't planning on it, but yeah. And the root of the issue is shame. Shame is directly linked to addictive behavior. The cause of addictive behaviors is shame, and the two have a synergistic relationship. These are paraphrases of quotes from the book that I got it from, which I will cite at the end. Um, Individuals with higher levels of shame are thought to be at greater risk of developing addictive disorders. Psychoactive substances are thought to mask or numb feelings of shame. They are attracted to anything that provides relief from the internal pain. It is a complex thing to address because shame is usually masked in many ways from being felt and by nature fears exposure. So this person um, doesn't know that the reason why they're doing most of these things is from shame, which is a very deep rooted issue. And there are a lot of defense mechanisms that people have so that they don't um, face the shame that they have. Defenses against shame can include behaviors such as denial, withdrawal, rage, arrogance, the need for power, etc. So this is when they start to feel like they're being vulnerable. Or vulnerability is hard to achieve with shame. Um, and with so many defense mechanisms in the way to peel back, the self has to confront the self it was trying to suppress. Humanistic theory and insight-oriented approach combined help add value to the person's life. Artistic creation and creative expression as self-affirming and life-giving. The nature of the creative process is humanistic theory is inherently shame-reducing, corrective, and viewed as the humble human counterpart of God's creation. Insight-oriented refers to the use of the art process and products for self-reflection, self-expression, emotional regulation, and insight. So they're pretty much starting to get to know themselves again after a while of just masking what they were really feeling. Art therapy literature with this population is slim. It I'm they art therapy in you know like rehabilitation um, facilities has been going on for 30 years, but not Few studies have been published about the effectiveness of it. Art therapy is thought to tap into unconscious processes. It provides a safe method for accessing and containing painful feelings through the process of sublimation, and projection, and by remaining within the relative safety of the metaphor, symbol, or image. A form of symbolic communication for painful feelings that are difficult to explain in words. So, yeah, it just kind of objectifies the pain, and it is more of a natural, less forced way. I'll get into that more. Shame reduction is key to accepting oneself. Belief that painful childhood memories associated with shame are pre-verbal in origin and not easily accessible through words. Expressive approaches such as art therapy could offer a method of reducing shame that other methods, such as just verbal therapy, couldn't, because shameful feelings may flow more easily and be more directly accessed via nonverbal creative approaches, since they bypass rather than actively confront well practiced defenses. So, this comes with 5 tasks that the, that the book mentioned. Um, the first one is establishing safety with self and group. This is essential to the process of treatment because shamefulness builds a wall that keeps people out, so trust and self-disclosure must be established so the patient doesn't feel judged or more ashamed when sharing. And when they share, addicted clients can begin to explore the use of art as a language for their thoughts and feelings. So when they feel like they're able to open up, that's when they they can really start the progress. So they have to build a very like trusting environment. Sorry. 2 is understanding the nature of addictive illness. To acknowledge they have a problem and to label it is a challenge because their addiction has prevented them from knowing what's real. Some activities can help them view the negative consequences of their addiction, such as drawing their addiction, how they feel when they're under the influence. So those are the first art directives. Um, because they've just kind of ignored everything bad about it and just have seen like the good, but now they have to understand how the nature of addiction is dark, and that they need to take steps in order to conquer it. Unmanageability and powerlessness are themes the clients are wanted to explore in their art. Having addicts list of evidence that documents both powerlessness and unmanageability in their lives. As a result, admission of powerlessness over living life in the extremes. So, yeah, they um, I in the beginning of the year, when I got assigned to the Expressive Therapies Continuum book, I remember there was a part in there about a you know a 12-step program. Um, it says over here, Cox and Price, um, approach to working with substance abuse disorder used um, tempera paint on paper to break down resistances and help clients recognize their powerlessness. So they use the Expressive Therapies Continuum, which is a it says it is a type of therapy that directs but does not command a specific course of treatment. And so they worked with tempera paint on paper to break down resistance and help clients recognize their powerlessness. The authors chose to work with paint because it is difficult to control, and they wanted the art experience to reflect the concept of unmanageability from the first step of the Alcoholics Anonymous 12-step program. So that kind of tied into the theme of unmanageability that I was just talking about. This is a picture. So I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm sorry if you can't. So this man drew himself, and as you can tell, well, this is how his addiction makes him feel. His head is exploding. There is a wine glass tipping over. This man is addicted to alcohol and sex. That's why you see like the female symbols, and his mouth is stitched shut, and he wants to tell the truth, but all he can say are lies. So 3, breaking through denial. Denial masks shame. Even the clients that are in denial of the impact their addiction has had on their lives and the ones around them. Minimizing the severity, blaming others, and other tactics keep them from their painful truths. Art therapy can break down these defenses quicker. They have to understand the role of denial in the maintenance of their addiction. To do this, they are asked to draw a fantasy versus reality picture that compares and contrasts what the addiction promised them and what the reality of the experience actually was. Draw a picture of all that you have lost as a result of your addiction. I really like this exercise because I feel like it's just very effective and makes them really confront just everything that they didn't want to. This is a woman, and it shows on the right what she thought the addiction, well, what, how she sees the addiction, and like, she's done up. She has a refrigerator full of people, full of drugs, full of alcohol, and this is like this is the illusion of the addiction, and then the other side is the reality of the addiction, of how she's looking at herself and she sees a skeleton, and all those addictions are chained shut. So that is the reality about how she feels about her addiction. Surrendering to the process of recovery. An active surrender is required to transform from active addiction to recovery, because they accept limitations. Limitations teach us about our humanness, and accepting our humanness is shame reducing. Because the purpose of the treatment is to not push them into quitting. It's about changing their beliefs, changing their mindset, to bring about a shift in views in which addiction loses its power. It's essential for addicts to build positive relationships outside of treatment. So that's why they want them to build positive relationships inside of treatment. Understanding the origins of shame. I'm sorry, I'll wrap this up. The client then might get overwhelmed with feelings of shame after their facades have been taken down and the reality of their addictions sets in. So after, everybody has gotten to know one another and they feel more comfortable, then they start, getting, filled with memories, repressed memories. Addicts who were raised in dysfunctional families carry additional burdens of traumatic experiences that have not been processed or integrated into conscious awareness. Although traumatic memories are repressed or forgotten, the pain accumulates. Traumatic memories lend themselves more easily to images than words. Exercises that help them see the connection between childhood abuse and patterns of addiction are useful. So they are asked to draw a family portrait or portrait of how others saw their family versus how it really functioned. So building a better, positive self and letting go of damaging messages carried from childhood are essential. And so, in their group, by receiving affirming messages from others, they learn to affirm themselves from within, and they learn self empowerment. They nurture and heal the inner child so that the childlike qualities so essential to growth can be reclaimed. So, and as they exercise, they draw an outline of their body and fill it with positive, affirming images. Music and imagery therapy is also another way to go about substance abuse and rehab. Music, imagery, and mindfulness groups held in an outpatient drug and alcohol rehabilitation facility. And a study was held every 2 weeks for 10 weeks. They played gentle music to get clients in a deeply relaxed and focused state of mind, where images of memories or symbols of what the music means can come to mind. This is good for mood regulation, relief from pain or anxiety, or personal growth and wisdom. Since, you know, we're mostly interested in art, I won't spend too much time on it. And the works cited are right here. Thank you.